Hello everyone, welcome to the solution of LeetCode problem 442 named find all duplicates in an array. Here we are given an integer array nums of length n where all the integers of nums are in the range in between 1 to n. Now each integer appear once or twice. Now we have to return an array of all the integers that appears twice, but there is a constraint. That is, you must write an algorithm that runs in big O of n time and uses only constant extra spaces. That means we cannot take any other extra space such as map, set to solve this problem. Now in the first example, we can see that this array contains several elements, but the element 2 and 3 appears 2 times. 2 appears here and here. Similarly, 3 appears here and here. So here we have to return 2 and 3. Now, in the second example, we have seen that the array contains 3 elements, which is 1, 1, and 2. So here 1 appears 2 times. So in this case, we have to return 1. I hope you understood the problem statement. Now the examples. Now the constraint are the array length can be in between 1 to 10 to the power 5, and each of the element in the array can be in between 1 to n. And each element in the array appears at most 1 or 2 times. Now, I hope you understood the constraint. Now, let's move on to the algorithm. Now, to understand the algorithm, we have taken this example. This array contains 4 elements, which is 2, 2, and 3, 3. The length of the array is 4. That means it should have the element in between 1 to 4, but it has element 2 and 3 2 times. So we have to return the element 2 and return the element 3. If we are allowed to use extra spaces, that means we can solve this kind of problem by using map or set data structure. But as using extra spaces is not allowed, that's why we cannot take any other extra space rather than this input array. So now let's understand how can we solve this problem by using this input array. Now we have to iterate each of the element from left to right, and if we found any element, that means we have to mark it visited, because suppose initially we have found the element 2. Now we have somehow marked this element 2 such as visited. Now after that, if we find another element which is equal to 2, in those kind of cases, we can compare or we can check whether we have already marked this element 2 visited or not. If we have marked this element 2 already visited previously, that means these elements 2 somewhere appears in the previous. In those kind of cases, we have to simply append the element 2 into the corresponding list. Now, similar is true for this element 3. When we reach this element 3, somehow we will mark the element 3 visited, and after that, after marking the first element 3 visited, when we reach this second element 3, then we will check whether we have already marked this element 3 visited or not. If we have already marked this element 3 visited, that means this element 3 appears previously, right? In this case, we have to simply add the element 3 to the answer list. So now our problem reduced into how can we mark each of the element visited when we iterate over them. So we cannot take any other visited array because taking extra array or extra memory is strictly prohibited for this problem. So here, suppose let us try to understand a mapping mechanism. Suppose here, as the length of the array is 4, this array can contain 4 elements, which is 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? Suppose for the mapping mechanism, 1 should map 0, 2 should map 1, 3 should map 2, and 4 should map 3. Because why we are starting from the element 0? Because we know that the index number in computer science is started from the 0. That's why we have marked the element 1 to 0 and similarly so on. Now we have 4 elements, which is these 4 positions, which is 2, 2, 3, and 3. But their index number is 0, 1, 2, 3. Now we have to iterate each of the elements from left to right. Currently, we have found the element 2. So we have to make the element 2 visited. How can we make this element 2 visited? We simply add a negative sign to the corresponding index position of 2, which is in the position 1. So we are adding one negative sign here. Now, again, we are in these positions, which has -2. Now, to extract the value of each of the positions, we will simply calculate the abstract value, where abstract of -2 is 2. So now we have to check whether the corresponding index of the -2 is already visited or not. So here, the corresponding index of 2 is 1. So we have seen that the corresponding index 1 is already visited because it has a negative sign. In those kind of cases, we have to add 2 to our corresponding resultant array. Now we have in this element 3. So we have to make the index position of 3 visited. So here the index position of 3 will be. So we are making negative the value presented at the index number 2. So it is become negative. Now for this element 3, we have to check whether the index number of 3 is visited or not. Here we can see that the index number is 2 and it is visited because it has a negative sign. So we have to add the element 3 into the resultant array. And finally, we have to return this list as an answer. I hope you understood the algorithm. Now let's move on to the code. In this problem, the code is pretty simple. At first, we are given a function named find duplicates, which has a parameter vector. Now here, we are using another vector to store the answer. Now we have to iterate each of the element from left to right of the input array. And initially, we have calculated the absolute value and the corresponding index for this corresponding number. Now we have to check whether the corresponding index is less than 0 or not. It will be true if the corresponding value is already visited. In those kind of cases, we have to simply add the corresponding value to the resultant vector. After that, we have to make the corresponding index visited. Finally, we have to return the vector as well. I hope you understood the code. Now let's move on to the time and space complexity analysis of this program. In this program, the time complexity is big O of n because we have to iterate each of the element from left to right, and the space complexity is big O of 1 because we are using only constant extra spaces to solve this problem. Thank you everyone for watching this video. We will get back soon with another LeetCode solution.